Hi there. So I thought I'd do a little video to exhibit some software that I've developed. About 14 months ago, I started race directing for our local FPV club in Oxford, Drox, Oxford, UK. And in that seat, in that role, I came up across a number of issues over the first few months, with pilots having issues with video reception, myself included, be it flying with lots of other people, or perhaps um, towards the ends of races, or at different parts in the field. And trying to establish exactly the root causes on these issues was not always trivial. So I decided to try and tackle this problem by developing a bit of software that interfaces with some scanning hardware. So an SDR transceiver that can scan 6 GHz range, and I developed this little bit of software. So you can see here, this is the interface with a number of functions on the right. If I just hit scan, you can see how basically it has scanned all the different frequencies and shows me the measured power on each of those different frequencies with the various race bands identified. Once you scan, you can then save that into this table of pre-save sweeps. Now, if I go and power up one of my quadcopters and then do another scan, you can see here how basically we've picked up a positive transmission on R3. I can then go and save that into my list of scans as well. Let me just change frequency to show you that working. So we're just going to change to a different frequency now and scan again. You can see how that's picked up now on S4, and I can save that there. Let me just unplug the quadcopter to stop it overheating. Those were those 3 scans we took. So we've got basically, we can go back and have a look at them again. So that's just our background sweep. We can then see our second sweep in this table. It's identified that it was on R3. I'll show you my actual physical setup, but I effectively have tried to calibrate it using uh, a sort of a known baseline power, and then a setup that means that I have constant distance between the transmitter and the receiver when I do these scans. Um, and you can see here, it's with my relative measurement, it's picked that up as being close to 20 milliwatts. On the transmitter, it's set as 25 milliwatts, or on the actual VTX, it's set as 25 milliwatts. So you can see it's a first estimation of that. And you can see here also the this sort of quite distinctive double peak that we get with HD0 transmission. If I just bring up the baseline, you can see this background power. And then interestingly, you get this sort of spread of power either side of your peak. And these become quite interesting a bit later when we look at what happens with some higher power. And then I've done another one here, which is sweep 3. And you can see here, this is picked it up on R4. This is showing it as being a little bit less, around 17 milliwatts. I've also included a function here where, even though it's detecting exactly where the main power is, it also has a look at how much has leaked into other bands. So you can see on here, in this particular one, we can see that R5 has 0.04 milliwatts leaking into it, and that's this little peak that you can see just in here. So you can see that area under the blue curve that's just sneaking now into R5. And these sort of things could be quite useful in diagnosing if a particular pilot maybe has a dodgy VTX or antenna, or is transmitting on the wrong power, showing how that then leaks into other areas on that frequency range and could hurt someone else's video, for example. Perhaps what I'll do now is I will power up and do a 200 milliwatt measurement just to show you those sort of differences. So that's just booted up now. Let me just bump up the power. And take a scan at that power range. You can see here significantly bigger peak. And let me just save that scan. So we can also just edit these as baseline. This was R3, 25 milliwatts. And this could be pilots' names or anything like that. So it just allows you to keep a log of what you've measured. So this is R4, 25 milliwatts. And then this one here was R4, 200 milliwatts. So just looking at this latest one, you can see here considerably bigger peak compared to the 25 milliwatts. So you can use that as a tool for working out whether pilots have got the wrong frequency or even their power setting is too high. Interestingly, this one, even though we have considerably bigger sort of spreading and side peaks, it doesn't actually leak that far into other channels. So here it's only picking up 0.07 milliwatts leaking into R5. So that's this sort of area you can see here under the yellow curve. But on certain channels, these peaks are differently spaced and end up in other channels. There's probably a lot of science behind this. I'm not too well versed in the nature of these sort of things and the harmonics that you can get with various frequencies interfering with other ones. But this at least gives you a tool to be able to identify what power is being transmitted, which band it's on, and then also potential issues that might be occurring with dodgy VTXs or antennas. Interestingly, having done some tests myself, we can also see that the amount of power that you measure changes a lot with time, which I suspect is to do with the temperature of the VTX. So all of these things can help basically give you, as a race director, some more information to help diagnose issues and get everybody up and flying. Maybe just to round out on this bit of software, you can then export these sweeps, and then next time you load up the software, which I'll do now, it comes in with a blank page again. You can now load them in, and you can see here these were the sweeps that I measured just now. To bring you back to where you were. Yeah, if it's an interesting tool to you, then please don't hesitate to get in touch. Thank you.